name is Tahreem, and I'm the CEO and founder of Sozie. We are headquartered in London, and we exist because models don't look like shoppers. The average shopper is size 16, while a model is a size 4. This means that 95% of people struggle to understand how clothes seen online will actually look on them in real life. So they either do one of the two things. They avoid online shopping altogether, or they overbuy and plan to return. And both of these reactions are very problematic for online retailers. If online retailers aren't growing online, then they're missing the growth in the industry. And if their online shoppers are returning a lot, then that really affects their profit margin. So I started Sozie in 2017, and the LBS Incubator was our first home. The London Business School Incubator is a fantastic opportunity for alumni who are less than 3 years out from graduating from any LBS program after an application and selection process to participate in a year-long program, which includes a physical location to actually be resident and a permanent office for you and your staff as you're building your startup. I cannot emphasize enough just how valuable that is, especially having that physical location in central London. And key other elements of support, including connections to experts in pricing, for example, or legal, for example. In fact, our current lawyer is still the connection that we made through the LBS Incubator. So a lot of the really important basic things that you need to get started in setting up and starting a business, the LBS Incubator makes much simpler and much easier for graduates that are selected for the incubator program. So Sozie is actually a French word. It means doppelganger. It's very much rooted in the history of fashion. In fact, in the early 20th century, the boutiques in Europe, they used to hire shop associates of all shapes and sizes, so that when a client would come into the store, the most similar looking shop associate would come out and trial the garment for the client to show her how it looks. And these shop associates were called Sozies, the French word for doppelganger. So today, what Sozie is a technology platform that connects online shoppers to in-store associates for personalized shopping experiences. Because the same need that existed back in the early 20th century is a need that still resonates with shoppers today, which is they would like to be able to see themselves reflected in fashion. And store associates are a brilliant and talented pool of people to provide this service to online shoppers, much as they used to do in the early 20th century to in-store clients. Our core product is a technology platform that connects e-commerce to store associates to create employee-generated content on demand and integrates this into retailer websites. Our dashboard is used by the retailer's e-commerce team to specify the products for which they want to request content. Store staff receive the request for content on their Sozie mobile app, which they use inside stores. So when they're in the store, they're able to see which items have requests, and they accept those requests, find the inventory from the store, create the content by trying on the item, taking pictures, answering questions. Our mobile app actually captures their key body measurements as well as the product size they're wearing. So all of this content is then integrated into the retailer's website, which becomes extremely useful for the online shopper. So the online shopper is able to see not just a model wearing the item, but also a range of people from the store trying on the item for them and showing them how it fits, with key size and fit information included. So when COVID hit, we were actually right in the middle of our Adidas pilot. And of course, the stores had to be open for our pilot to be operating because we require the use of the inventory inside the stores. Not to mention, we were actually sending in our own people who are part of our community in London as Sozies into the stores. So when COVID hit, we were completely disrupted. There had always been the ambition to actually convert store staff as the Sozies rather than using our own community as the Sozies, because store staff have such optimal characteristics for this purpose. They're already inside the stores. They know the products extremely well. They understand the branding, and they're extremely enthusiastic about the brand and creating content. So we always had in mind the ambition to include store staff as part of the user base of Sozies who actually create content. When COVID hit, I thought this was the optimal time to do so because suddenly you had an environment where the store staff were sitting at home doing very little, being paid, and the only sales channel that was possible to reach a shopper through was the online sales channel, which was in desperate need for content. And so what I did was I went to Adidas and I said, how about if we actually take your store staff who are at home, onboard them onto the Sozie platform, we'll ship them inventory, they'll create content, and this will go live on your website, which will support you during COVID, since the website's obviously the only way to sell. So we were able to turn their store staff into ambassadors at home, making use of them during COVID. And at the same time, we were able to support online sales. So this was very much a win-win solution. And the best part of it was that the store staff absolutely loved being Sozies. It was an extremely engaging activity for them during COVID. So Sozie was like an extremely fun task for them to be involved in, and to get the kind of recognition and appreciation by being featured on the website of the retailer, especially during this time. It was really fantastic for the staff to participate in this way. Now that the stores are back open, we have a great opportunity to take the training and the understanding that the subset of staff who participated in Sozie during COVID, we have a great opportunity to take that training and take that capability and actually trickle it down throughout the hundreds of staff that work at Adidas in London, in the United Kingdom, even in the broader EU and US regions. So this would then give the retailer a fantastic capability to generate content on demand from their staff and create a clear mechanism of support between their store staff and their online sales. When lockdown restrictions have eased, it's a really exciting opportunity for us to take all of our lessons learned during COVID and actually apply them into the new environment. Onboarding all of the store staff who are in the stores as Sozies and activating this, not just for Adidas, but also our other clients. So currently we work with Adidas in Europe, with Target in the United States, and also with Tommy Hilfiger. So at LBS, when I was in my MBA, I took a course that was taught by Julian Birkinshaw on strategic agility. I think it was actually called Achieving Strategic Agility. And it's really well named, because strategic agility is theoretically quite clear, be agile and that's good for your strategy or some iteration of that. But achieving it, that's the key piece. It's actually very difficult and important. I would say it's one of the main lessons I would impart on others, to embed in your strategy and in your mindset of in terms of how you think about your business, as well as in your operational capability, to embed an agility in there that allows you to respond to changing circumstances. That is so important, and became extremely obvious when COVID hit, because it was a huge change in the environment. And we were able to achieve strategic agility by taking that opportunity to execute on one of the ideas we had, for which the time was just right. So just an extra note for female founders or to-be founders out there listening and watching this. We've all read the statistics, and it's daunting to know that less than 3% of venture capital funding in the US market goes to female founders. And believe it or not, that's actually a record high this past year. I just want you to know that I don't think you should be too daunted by that. And this is why. Because we have to prove ourselves, our business models, our customer base, we have to prove essentially ourselves with more rigor than perhaps our male counterparts. You're actually in a situation where your business is, in the end, in the long term, going to be more likely to succeed. So while getting funding may be harder, and there are definitely those barriers, and the numbers speak for themselves, I don't think you should worry too much about it in the long term, because if you have identified a customer problem and you're able to solve for that customer problem, and your customer is willing to pay for it, then that is really what you should focus on and drive forward with. You can build your growth, you can build growth into your business by by growing through your revenues, right? There's other ways to grow without securing a huge amount of funding. And in the long term, you would also end up having more equity in your business at later stages as a result of having more validation upfront and by growing through your revenues. So ultimately, the main focus should always be your customer, solving a problem for them and doing it in a valuable way where they're willing to pay for for that solution, or someone is willing to pay for that solution. So yeah, that's just a final note to female founders. One day the statistics might change, but don't wait for it because funding is only one piece of the story.